The left claim to be opposed to the privileged elites of the past. Those tyrants who threw their weight around, abused their power, and relied on cronyism to stuff the ranks of elite society with their allies. But there's a new privileged elite now, and it is the left. And it's behaving as appallingly as the people they always claim to despise, as they generally do. When radical leftists overthrew the ruling powers in Russia, China, Cambodia, and elsewhere, they immediately acted in a manner significantly more brutal and repressive than the people they had replaced. That hasn't happened in the West, but the left have effected a cultural takeover, effectively dominating much of the media, internet giants, the education sphere, Hollywood, the arts, and even the corporate sector. The police and judiciary have taken the knee before this monolith too, surrendering to the leftist shibboleths of identity politics insanity and inflicting their increasingly bizarre decrees on the rest of us. It's a minority position, which is why it generally fails when subjected to a democratic mandate. But the power and influence it wields is colossal. And as it's immune to democracy, it's effectively invulnerable. So it has become more brazen and conceited by the day, warped by a monstrous hubris that brooks no dissent. And as this mindset has increasingly sealed itself into an echo chamber of smug certainty, the disdain with which it treats outsiders has become increasingly bloated, and the behaviour of its acolytes ever more resembles the tyrannical intolerance of the commissars who wielded such political might in the 20th century. It has become shut off from reason, empathy and humanity. Yet the disciples of this irrational creed, this totalitarian derangement, are absolutely assured of their intellectual integrity and moral superiority. Yet their self-image could not have drifted further from reality. People like Owen Jones, Ilhan Omar, Ash Sarkar, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and many more, are oblivious to the fact that they are arrogant, bullying, unpleasant bigots. But that's exactly what they are. And their continual failure at the ballot box simply feeds the incomprehension and disdain they feel for the masses, who continually reject them. So they treat them with ever greater levels of patrician contempt, further alienating the electorate and pushing their chances of attaining office ever further away. As such, a wedge has been driven into society, and it becomes wider and deeper by the day. The only way to heal that rift is through civil debate. But this ideological elite have such loathing, so much disdain for those outside their conceited little bubble, that they refuse to even consider polite discussion or reasonable discourse. They would be aghast at the prospect of the bridge building or compromise necessary to heal the divisions in our fractured society. So the chasm grows ever wider, ever more impassable by the day. It's difficult to know how to heal this breach. Were we to offer our hand in concord, it would get slapped aside, or treated with icy disdain. They have nothing but revulsion for the plebs, the unwashed masses who fail to share their narrow, warped, and divisive worldview. Like the devout of the Middle Ages, or of the Middle East, they cannot even begin to contemplate the suggestion of doubt. Their faith, like their self-image, is that of the saints. And so they've erected a new Spanish Inquisition, one where any dissent and all heretics must be expunged. And as that tyrannical power denounced Galileo, so they scream down science and reason with an equally deranged fervour. Undeniable truths on gender, race relations, economics, or the environment are met with screamed denunciation and demands for submission. But Even to those who surrender to their increasingly draconian orders, there can never be any forgiveness. They will never show mercy. Each transgressor must be exiled, and every exile must be permanent. The vast majority of people can see this, yet they remain immune, blinded by an inflated sense of virtue that persuades them their narrow-minded worldview and insatiable, intolerant bullying is both a moral and merited response. History will judge these people harshly. When posterity reveals their worldview to be an emperor with no clothes, then their iconoclasms, their snarling hatred, their reflexive bigotry and wildly abusive actions will see them ranked with Mao's Red Guards and the Spanish Inquisition as among the great brutes of history. Their soft power means they lack the means to kill. But make no mistake, they have wrecked countless lives and will destroy many, many more before they are done. And all we can do is stand resolute and dignified to counter their deranged mania with reason and evidence, an implacable decorum. Let them scream and wail. Give them room to pontificate and denounce. But in the meantime, we must occupy the genuine moral high ground. Or history will judge us, just as poorly as it will judge them. If you've enjoyed this film, please like and subscribe. And if you're interested in these topics, I've written 2 books which go into them in extensive detail. They're called The Tyranny of the Left, and they're available on the links below. Please feel free to pick them up and let me know what you think. Thank you.